Emmanuel Hostin, the husband of The View host Sunny Hostin, has been accused of widespread insurance fraud, and Sunny basically admitted to it on camera. Let's talk about it.
Like my husband, operates on someone even though they don't have insurance, and then has to sue health insurance companies to get paid for the work that he's been trained his whole life.
True sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law degree. So that makes Sunny Hostin, who thinks climate change caused the solar eclipse, the dumb.
Sunny Hostin has been pulled into a major legal controversy. And who's having a field day with it? Greg Gutfeld and Timpf. The two Fox News personalities turned the entire situation into an all-out comedy roast that's going viral fast online. With her husband now facing jaw-dropping $450 million fraud accusations, the internet moved quickly to respond. And according to Greg and Kat, the jokes are landing even harder than the actual news stories. Stay with us, because what they said next might completely shift your perspective on this controversy.
You look tantalizing. You know, I make fun of The View a lot, but that's only because they keep talking. Because COVID also taught Sunny Hostin how to get her groceries delivered.
3 years, that's when I discovered Instacart, and I give them a big tip because they don't always pay their people well, and it's so that's been an issue, I think, for the company. But man, you can get toiletries, you can get fire logs.
Fire logs? She had to tell the audience that she tips big because even she knows she sounds insufferable.
Dr. Emmanuel Manny Hostin, an orthopedic surgeon and husband of The View co-host Sunny Hostin, is accused in December lawsuit fraudulently billing insurance. By the way, this is a Daily Caller story I'm reading. The lawsuit alleges Hostin knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services in exchange for kickbacks and or compensation, and names him among nearly 200 defendants in one of New York's largest RICO cases.
Dr. Emmanuel Hostin, the orthopedic surgeon who is married to Sunny Hostin, is now entangled in a serious legal battle. A lawsuit filed in December alleges he participated in a scheme that reportedly defrauded the healthcare system. According to sources, he stands accused of filing suspicious medical claims and receiving illegal kickback payments. And he isn't the only one involved. Nearly 200 individuals have reportedly been named in what's shaping up to be one of the largest RICO cases New York has witnessed in recent memory. Meanwhile, Sunny continued appearing on television, delivering her trademark commentary on fairness, ethics, and accountability. But while she was busy holding others to account, the headlines suddenly shifted toward her own home. The timing could not have been more striking. Online critics quickly pointed out the irony, with some drawing comparisons between the scale of the allegations and some of the biggest fraud cases in recent history.
I hit myself in the face so I can feel something. You know, it's like so boring. She's like, yeah, I like Instacart, but don't worry, I tip the poors. But, you know, Joy, you actually don't like Instacart, and you do like the store. And then Joy is like, yeah, I do. I like to go to the store. I like to walk around and see what's at the store, what I do want, what I don't want. Maybe I want tuna fish, and I just want to hit.
That's when Greg and Kat dove headfirst into the firestorm. Gutfeld looked like he was thoroughly enjoying himself, firing off joke after joke as the controversy exploded across the internet. To him, the hypocrisy was simply too rich to pass up. This had stopped being political commentary and turned into a full-scale comedy roast. Timpf didn't hold back either. The moment the scandal broke into the headlines, she responded like someone who had been waiting a long time for exactly this kind of story. The sarcasm, the laughter, and the relentless jabs kept on coming as audiences watched the drama unfold in real time.
The View. It's become like a medical hospital that displays human misfailure. Like it's like here, let's look at this political oddity. You know, it's like it really is like the left-wing equivalent of a carnival sideshow, except instead of bearded ladies and fat clowns and two-headed cows. Well, let me rephrase that. But The View is a victim of the sunk cost fallacy. You know, how can you now speak the truth when for years you've been telling lie after lie after lie? Now you're carrying this big bag of rocks around you because it's too harmful for their ego to admit that we really were dishonest. And they could be honest. All they would have to say is, look, we trump so much. We were willing to lie about Joe Biden because we felt he was preferable. We thought our lying and our cover-up was on your behalf. Just say that. You're still scum, but at least you're honest.
To Kat, this didn't even register as surprising news anymore. It felt like something that was always coming. She watched Sunny's carefully constructed image and moral high ground begin to crumble as the scandal drew increasing attention to her personal life. In Kat's view, the whole situation exposed a glaring contradiction that online critics couldn't stop discussing. And truthfully, many people saw the irony right away. For years, The View has built its entire brand around lecturing the public about ethics, accountability, and integrity. But now, with controversy surrounding Sunny's own household, those same speeches suddenly carried a very different weight. Critics argued that delivering moral sermons while turmoil brews behind closed doors doesn't reflect consistency. It looks like a narrative that nobody can keep together anymore.
Witch's coven finally shows me some lovin'. Yesterday on The View, yours truly was the subject of conversation. Apparently the broads have no idea who I am, or so they say. Hit it, Gladys.
They said that Gutfeld talks about you all the time.
Who is he? Well, really, who is he?
I don't watch the show.
He has a show.
I don't watch the
never
show.
heard of him.
Yeah.
I guess he's just obsessed with me.
No. Next, Joy's gonna say she's never heard of carbs. Seriously, her denial of knowing me is as believable as her red hair. But obsession? I mean, come on, Joy. Where would you even get that idea? Like Joy Behar's face, it's looking worse and worse by the day. More full of crap than Joy Behar after a night of scotch and Taco Bell. Her being named Joy is like me being named ugly. Joy wasn't there on the show. Apparently Mondays are her days off when she feeds in the pasture. It now smells like a humid day inside Joy Behar's.
The whole situation began unfolding like a television drama, except this time the plot twists were generating themselves. Greg Gutfeld leaned all the way into the chaos, joking that Sunny should launch a new segment called Allegedly Yours, where she delivers moral lectures while simultaneously dodging legal headlines. Timpf piled on with her own sharp sarcasm, quipping that the controversy had finally handed The View something audiences actually wanted to tune in for. But for Greg and Kat, this was never just about mocking the scandal on its own. They were going after the image the show has spent years carefully constructing. A platform where hosts frequently position themselves as the final word on right and wrong. According to critics, that image suddenly appeared far less convincing once the spotlight turned back on them. The whole thing felt like watching a meticulously built platform buckle under the weight of its own contradictions.
Kat, did you ever see such a group? It's amazing how Joy and Whoopi became the smart ones.
For me, the most shocking thing about the conversation was how truly boring it was. They're like, well, the cicadas, they're cicadas. Okay, but it was like every 100 years. No, it's every 17 years. Do you know how many Emmys this show has? 31.
31 Emmys?
This show has 31. I mean, I'd hate to see the conversations that don't make headlines.
Suddenly, Sunny's aura of moral authority began unraveling quickly, like a talk show panel attempting to explain economics without understanding the fundamentals. Greg Gutfeld moved through the controversy with complete confidence, delivering sarcastic quips like someone relishing every moment of the fallout. Kat, meanwhile, appeared absolutely delighted, visibly savoring the collapse of all the moral grandstanding and self-righteous commentary. She even mocked The View's over-the-top courtroom-style debates, joking that the show might as well rebrand itself into something like Financial Scandals and Finger-Wagging, where lectures about ethics come bundled with wall-to-wall hypocrisy and non-stop television drama.
Sausage maker Johnsonville is recalling more than 42,000 pounds of pork sausage for possible contamination with plastic fibers. Fortunately, authorities were able to track all 42,000 pounds to a single location in New York City.
Greg consistently pushed things toward the edge of absurdity. Picture Sunny spinning a game show wheel labeled with topics like fraud, privilege, and outrage, transforming serious commentary into pure entertainment spectacle. Behind the scenes, it likely felt like a soap opera crashing head-on into a full-scale PR crisis drill, with producers scrambling frantically to keep things from spinning out of control. In this exaggerated scenario, you can practically picture executives in full panic mode, brainstorming distraction tactics and trying to redirect attention anywhere possible. The same hosts who could normally detect a conservative misstep from a great distance suddenly shifted toward softer messaging, radiating love and light energy that critics interpreted as code for staying silent, regrouping, and letting the legal team take over.
No, I'm also not surprised that there's one part of the video from the show yesterday that you left out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, can we roll that, please?
I don't watch the show that much, but I've seen enough.
Who is that?
Who is that?
Greg Gutfeld's one of the hosts of The Five who... if I don't have anything nice to say, I generally don't say anything at all. I would just say this: his show should be called Cat Timpf, not Gutfeld, because she's the funny one on it.
Somebody's flirting with little cat over here.
Well, she's the Republican one at the table, but I just think as a libertarian, I'm always looking to find common ground with other people because nobody really shares my politics. So I find some common ground in The View where she thinks I'm funny and I agree.
This wasn't presented simply as a personal scandal. It was framed as a broader media moment, shaking trust in a culture frequently criticized for arrogance and moral posturing. Greg Gutfeld and Kat Timpf leaned hard into sarcasm, amplifying the irony at every opportunity. In this telling, when a show constructed around virtue signaling becomes entangled in allegations tied to real-world consequences, critics argue it risks more than public embarrassment. It forfeits the very authority it claims to represent. Gutfeld's commentary wasn't presented as simple mockery. It was framed as sharp satire designed to illustrate how quickly polished moral messaging can collapse when it runs into uncomfortable facts and genuine accountability.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions? Like you said, and it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say on The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full racist. She injected skin color into a fairly generic behavior seen in all spouses. Regardless of skin color, people marry, they listen to each other, they have something in common with them, they share their political views. She just didn't want to upset her husband by saying her husband makes her do everything, and then she'd have to accuse him of being a racist. Because if he told her that this is what white women do, then he's a racist.
And then there's the sheer magnitude of the alleged fraud. Numbers so enormous they don't read like an accident, but something resembling the plot of a financial thriller. Not a minor clerical error, but the kind of figure that would make even the most seasoned Wall Street veterans take notice. Kat Timpf highlighted what she described as a clear inconsistency in media coverage, observing how swiftly certain outlets pounce on minor errors by public figures, yet appear far more cautious when the story involves layered allegations connected to high-profile media personalities. In this satirical framing, Greg Gutfeld played up the irony, joking that it almost feels like irony itself should be renting a Manhattan penthouse just to stay current with everything unfolding. Front row seats to a story that keeps writing its own punchlines as it develops.
You know who just stunk up The View. The Bidens joined The View this morning for the entire hour. The audience was caught off guard, but knew something was up when they saw a dozen Secret Service agents and 2 embalmers. There were a few awkward moments, though, when a confused Joe asked if he could bid on the showcase. But was he surprised Kamala?
Greg then pushed the sarcasm even further, treating the entire situation like live satire rather than conventional commentary. Rather than echoing typical online reactions, he joked that a national popcorn fund would be more appropriate because in his framing the story had all the drama of a full-blown media blockbuster. The suggestion was that the situation had graduated from simple controversy into something resembling outright spectacle. Within that framing, Sunny's next chapter wouldn't involve legal commentary at all, but rather the inevitable media spin-off that trails high-profile scandals. Rather than plain hypocrisy, Greg's satire painted it as something thoroughly processed, fully packaged, carefully presented, and now being consumed by the public in real time. Meanwhile, The View's response was characterized by critics as more emotional and selective, centered on unity and reassurance rather than directly confronting the criticism head-on.
That's not what I read. The true sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law degree. Worse, if your name has the word sun in it, there's no excuse for not knowing how an eclipse works. But it's no surprise that Joy is the one who understands science. She's been on the science diet for years. They're turning on me. So that makes Sunny Hostin, who thinks climate change caused the solar eclipse, the dumbest of them all. Because everyone knows the moon caused the eclipse, which is controlled by The View's gravitational pull.
Kat Timpf didn't let the moment slip by quietly either. He joked that in an alternate version of events, the conversation might conveniently sidestep the serious allegations and pivot towards something more comfortable, like Fashion Week coverage or celebrity news. She even quipped that the show could be rebranded as The Skew, capturing what critics describe as the fast pivot from tough questions to gentler framing depending on whose reputation is at stake. Greg Gutfeld pushed the satire even further, imagining how the response would look if he were even loosely connected to a case of that scale, suggesting the backlash would be instant, deafening, and relentless before anyone had even poured their first cup of coffee. In that amplified contrast, what they were really highlighting wasn't simply disagreement, but what they framed as a visible double standard in how comparable stories are handled depending on the individuals involved.
How many co-hosts has The View had since it first started? I've lost count. I don't know any of these people.
No, that's because they don't stick around long enough. There have been 17 since 1997. That's a lot. That's because they're women.
Oh, really?
Their hormones, they're changing their minds. I don't want to work here. Yes, I do. That's why women are always changing jobs every day.
Wow,
I just quit.
Direct the mail to Catherine Timpf. Not me. I disavow everything she said.
And The View continued moving forward as though the noise would eventually die down, but the story showed no signs of fading. With Greg Gutfeld and Kat Timpf amplifying every angle on air, the conversation only continued building momentum. In this framing, the broader point being raised isn't limited to a single lawsuit. It's about how different standards get applied depending on who is being scrutinized, and how public accountability is frequently shaped by influence, branding, and media allegiances. While one side is portrayed as navigating the situation through calculated PR messaging, critics argue the broader public conversation has already moved into an entirely different territory. Greg and Kat, meanwhile, treated the whole saga as sharp satirical commentary, converting headlines into punchlines while continuing to circle back to the core controversy. And in that ongoing exchange, the story remains firmly in the public eye, along with all the reactions, debates, and jokes it keeps on producing.